The night the sky forgot how to stay quiet was the same night Adam Vale realized his memories were lying to him. He was standing on the balcony of his small apartment, coffee gone cold in his hand, when the stars above the city began to move, not drift, not twinkle, but shift deliberately, as if someone unseen were rearranging them with careful fingers. At first, he blamed exhaustion. Adam had spent the last 3 years of his life working as a night editor for an online news archive, a job that paid little but granted him access to forgotten records, deleted footage, and half-erased stories no one else bothered to read. Sleep had become optional, reality negotiable. Still, the movement in the sky felt wrong in a way fatigue could not explain. A low vibration rolled through the air, subtle but persistent, like the echo of a distant engine. Windows across the street rattled. Somewhere below, a car alarm began to scream and then abruptly died. Adam set the coffee down and leaned on the railing, heart pounding. The stars snapped back into place, perfectly ordinary again, as if nothing had happened. The city breathed on, unaware. No screams, no panic. Just him. He went back inside and did what he always did when something didn't make sense. He searched for records. His laptop hummed to life, the familiar glow grounding him. He pulled up satellite logs, astronomy forums, even amateur live streams. Nothing. No one had noticed anything unusual. Except, buried deep in a fringe message board, a single anonymous post made an hour earlier. Did anyone else see the sky blink? Adam stared at the sentence for a long time. His fingers hovered over the keyboard, then typed a response he deleted 3 times before finally sending. Yes. What did it look like to you? The reply came almost instantly. Like it was being rearranged. Like it was wrong. Adam exhaled slowly. Whoever this was, they had seen it too. He asked where they were. The answer chilled him. Meriton Bay. That name struck something in him, a faint pressure behind the eyes, the way a word feels familiar before you remember why. Adam leaned back in his chair, eyes closed, trying to place it. Meriton Bay. Coastal town. Cliffs. An old observatory, maybe. He frowned. Where was that coming from? He had never been there. At least, he was fairly sure he hadn't. His phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. No greeting, no context. It read, "If you saw the sky move, you're already late." Adam laughed softly, the sound thin in the quiet apartment. Normally he would have dismissed it as an elaborate prank, but tonight nothing felt normal. He typed back, "Late for what?" 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. The reply finally came, "For remembering." Something shifted inside him then, like a door opening a crack. A pressure he had lived with for years without noticing suddenly eased, and with it came images, fragmented, sharp. A woman standing in front of a wall of flickering monitors. The smell of salt and metal. A number burning itself into his mind. 23,934. Adam gasped and nearly fell out of his chair. His heart raced, sweat breaking out along his spine. He pressed his palms to his eyes, but the images lingered, hovering behind his lids. This wasn't imagination. It felt too heavy, too specific. Memories, maybe, but not his. Or maybe they were, and something had taken them away. The phone buzzed again. Another message from the same number. Don't try to understand it all at once. Just come. Arden Cliffs. Before it notices you. What notices me? Adam whispered to the empty room. No reply came. He spent the rest of the night pacing, arguing with himself, pulling up maps and old articles. Arden Cliffs existed. Meriton Bay existed. The observatory existed too, though it had been declared unsafe and closed decades ago after a series of unexplained incidents the reports described in vague, cautious language. Equipment failures. Disorientation. Time discrepancies. Adam's breath caught on that last phrase. Time discrepancies. By dawn, the decision had already been made, though he didn't remember consciously making it. He packed a small bag, left a note he didn't bother finishing, and drove out of the city as the sun climbed pale and uncertain into the sky. The road to Meriton Bay wound along the coast, cliffs dropping sharply into a restless grey sea. Fog rolled in thick sheets, swallowing the horizon. Adam's radio crackled with static no matter what station he tuned to, and more than once he thought he heard a voice threading through the noise, saying his name. When he reached Arden Cliffs, the air felt heavier, charged. The road ended abruptly at a rusted gate chained shut, a warning sign flapping weakly in the wind. Adam parked and continued on foot, following a narrow path worn into the grass. The observatory rose ahead of him, half collapsed, its dome cracked like a broken skull. A shiver ran through him, not of fear exactly, but recognition. Inside, dust coated everything in a thick grey layer. Old computers sat in silent rows, their screens dark. Cables snaked across the floor like dead vines. Adam moved slowly, reverently, as if he were trespassing in a tomb. With each step, the pressure behind his eyes grew stronger, the fragments of memory sharpening. He knew where he was going before he consciously chose a direction, his feet carrying him down a narrow corridor to a room hidden behind a heavy steel door. The door was ajar. The hum hit him first, low and constant, vibrating in his chest. Light spilled out, warm and flickering. Adam pushed the door open and stopped dead. The machine stood in the center of the room, impossibly intact compared to the rest of the building. Cables fed into it from every direction, some ancient, some disturbingly modern. Its surface pulsed faintly, like a living thing. At its core, a display glowed, showing a timer frozen on a number that made Adam's breath itch. 23-934:00:00:00. You came. Adam spun around. A woman stood near the wall, arms crossed, eyes sharp and tired. She looked to be in her early 30s, dark hair pulled back, a faint scar cutting through her left eyebrow. There was no surprise in her expression, only relief. Who are you? Adam asked, though part of him already knew. Lena, she said. And before you ask, yes, we've met. No, you don't remember. Not yet. His head throbbed. This thing, he gestured helplessly at the machine. I keep seeing it in my head. That number. I don't understand why. You will, Lena said softly. That's the problem. She stepped closer, and Adam noticed her hands were trembling. We built this to remember what couldn't be remembered, she continued. To hold time still long enough to study it. But time doesn't like being held. Adam swallowed. We. You, me, and a lot of people who no longer exist the way they're supposed to. She met his gaze, including the version of you who helped turn this on. The hum deepened, as if reacting to her words. The lights flickered. Adam felt something stir inside him, a pull toward the machine so strong it made his knees weak. He took an unconscious step forward. Don't, Lena said sharply, grabbing his arm. Not yet. If it recognizes you too soon. Recognizes me as what? As the anchor, she said. And if that happens before you remember why we tried to erase you, then all of this starts over. A distant rumble rolled through the cliffs, like thunder beneath the earth. Dust drifted down from the ceiling. On the machine's display, the frozen timer twitched, the last digit flickering as if deciding whether to move. Adam looked from the number to Lena, fear and wonder tangling in his chest. What did we do? Lena's jaw tightened. We taught time how to loop, she said. And now it won't let us go. The hum grew louder, filling the room, the walls, his head. Somewhere deep inside, a voice that sounded disturbingly like his own whispered that this was only the beginning, that the sky moving had been a warning, not an accident. Adam closed his eyes as another wave of Chush memories crashed over him, and for the first time, instead of fighting them, he let himself sink into the pull, unaware that with that single choice, the loop had already begun to close. The pull intensified the moment Adam stopped resisting it, like stepping into a current that had been dragging at him all along. Images flooded his mind in no particular order. Late nights under harsh white lights, equations scribbled and erased until the walls looked bruised, Lena asleep at a desk with her head on her arms, the machine still incomplete and quiet then, harmless looking. He staggered, clutching the edge of a metal table as the room seemed to tilt. Easy, Lena said, steadying him. Don't let it take everything at once. I'm not choosing this, Adam muttered, his voice distant to his own ears. It's choosing me. Yes, she said, and there was something like apology in her tone. That's what anchors do. The machine responded to his proximity with a subtle change in pitch, the hum sharpening, becoming almost musical. The display flickered again, and this time the last digit ticked forward by 1. The sound echoed in Adam's skull like a clock striking midnight. It's moving, he whispered. It always does when you're close, Lena replied. That number isn't just time recorded. It's time accumulated. Every loop adds to it. Every reset. Reset. Adam's stomach dropped. How many times has this happened? Lena didn't answer immediately. She looked tired in a way that went beyond lack of sleep, like someone who had lived the same exhaustion over and over until it carved grooves into her bones. Enough that I stopped counting, she said finally. Enough that I know exactly how this ends if we don't change something. The rumble returned, stronger now. A low, grinding vibration shuddered through the floor, and somewhere deep in the cliffs, stone groaned. Adam had the sudden, irrational certainty that the land itself was listening. What is it? He asked. The loop. Is it alive? Lena hesitated. Not alive the way we are, but aware. We gave it structure, rules. It learned the rest. Another memory surfaced, clearer than the others. Adam standing in front of the machine, younger, eyes bright with a mix of terror and exhilaration, saying, "If time is a river, then we just built a dam." Lena had argued with him then. He could hear her voice now, sharp and urgent. Rivers always find a way around. "I argued with you," Lena said softly, as if echoing his thoughts. "I told you it was a bad idea to tie the stabilization protocol to a human consciousness. You said it was the only way to keep it from fracturing." "And I was wrong," Adam said, the realization settling like lead in his chest. "So you erased me." "We erased what you knew," she corrected. "We thought if the anchor forgot what it was anchoring, the loop would weaken. And it did. For a while." "But not enough," Adam said. "No," Lena agreed. "It adapted." The lights flickered violently now, and the machine's surface rippled as if something were moving beneath it. Adam felt a tug at the center of his chest, a sensation like invisible hands trying to pull him forward, into the core. "If I remember everything," he asked quietly, "what happens?" "Then you become fully visible to it," Lena said. "And it will try to close the loop, to finish what it started." "And if I don't?" "Then it keeps bleeding into the world," she said. "Small things at first. Skipped seconds. Deja vu. Then bigger ones. People forgetting days, weeks. Places repeating themselves. Eventually," she trailed off. "The sky moves," Adam finished. "Yes." Another tremor shook the room, knocking a chair over. Dust poured from the ceiling in thick curtains. The timer advanced again, one more relentless tick. Adam straightened, a strange calm settling over him. "Show me," he said. "All of it. I can't fix what I don't remember." Lena stared at him, conflict etched across her face. "Once you cross that line, I can't pull you back." "You've already pulled me back more times than I deserve," he said gently. "Let me do this with my eyes open." For a long moment, the only sound was the hum, now loud enough to rattle his teeth. Then Lena nodded. She led him to a console near the machine, brushing away dust and connecting a cable to a port at the base of his neck he hadn't known existed until his fingers brushed it and recognition flared. The interface was old, experimental, dangerous. "Just like last time," she murmured, more to herself than to him. "Except this time, try not to sacrifice yourself before we exhaust the other options." Adam managed a weak smile. "I'll do my best." She activated the sequence. The world exploded. Adam was nowhere and everywhere, stretched across moments like a thread pulled too tight. He saw the first successful containment, the cheers, the champagne spilled on the lab floor. He saw the first anomaly, a researcher swearing she'd lived the same hour twice. He saw the arguments, the fear, the gradual realization that they had not built a dam but a whirlpool. He saw himself making the worst decision of his life, binding the loop to his own temporal signature, believing his mind could serve as a stabilizing constant. He felt the agony of the first reset, the sensation of being folded inward, memories compressed and stripped away like layers of skin. He understood now why his head had always hurt, why he'd been drawn to forgotten things. Pieces of him had been scattered across time, and he had been unconsciously collecting them. When the flood receded, Adam sagged against the console, gasping. Lena caught him before he fell. "You're back," she said, her voice tight. "Tell me you're still you." He nodded slowly. "I am," he said. "But I remember why we failed." The machine screamed. It wasn't a sound so much as a pressure wave that slammed into them, rattling the walls, shattering one of the monitors. The timer began to race, numbers blurring as they climbed. "It knows," Lena shouted over the din, "it knows you're whole again." Adam pushed himself upright, forcing his shaking legs to obey. "Then we don't run," he said. "We finish this." "How?" Lena demanded. "We've tried shutting it down. We've tried isolating it. We've tried erasing you. It always resets." "Because we've been treating it like a thing," Adam said, stepping closer to the machine despite every instinct screaming at him to flee. "But it's not. It's a process. A pattern that feeds on continuity." "And you're the continuity," Lena said, horror dawning. "Yes," Adam said. "Which means I'm also the way out." The pull became unbearable now, a force dragging at his bones. He reached the machine and placed his hand against its surface. It was warm, almost comforting. "What are you doing?" Lena cried. "I'm changing the rules," Adam said. He closed his eyes and reached inward, not for memories this time, but for the gaps between them. The pauses, the silences, the ordinary, unremarkable moments he had always ignored. He offered those instead, forgotten afternoons, half-remembered dreams, the feeling of standing on a balcony with cold coffee and a sky that should not have moved. The machine resisted, its hum rising to a shriek. The timer stuttered. "You taught it to loop because you were afraid of losing time," Adam whispered, unsure whether he was speaking to Lena or the thing bound to him. "So here. Take what you don't want. Take the moments that don't matter." The pressure intensified, pain flaring white-hot through his chest. He screamed, distantly aware of Lena shouting his name, of the cliffs groaning as if on the brink of collapse. The machine's surface rippled violently, light pouring out in blinding waves. And then, abruptly, there was stillness. Adam opened his eyes. The hum had faded to a whisper. The timer flickered, the numbers draining away, cascading downward in a blur until the display went dark. The machine slumped in on itself, cables falling slack like severed nerves. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the building shuddered, not with strain but with release. Outside, the fog began to lift, revealing a pale blue sky, utterly ordinary. Adam collapsed to his knees, exhaustion crashing over him. Lena was at his side instantly, gripping his shoulders. "Adam," she said urgently. "Talk to me. Are you?" "I don't know how long," he said hoarsely. "But it's not feeding anymore. Without the anchor, it can't maintain the loop." Her eyes widened. Without the anchor. He met her gaze, a small, sad smile tugging at his mouth. "It let go of me," he said. "Which means I let go of it. I don't think it can reset again." Relief and fear warred across her face. "What did it take from you?" Adam searched himself, the question echoing in the quiet room. Something was missing, a hollow where weight used to be. He thought of the years of headaches, the constant pull toward forgotten things. "My future," he said finally. "I can't feel it anymore. No sense of what comes next." Lena swallowed hard. "Adam." He reached up and squeezed her hand. "It's okay," he said. "For the first time, it actually is." Sirens wailed in the distance as the authorities finally noticed something was wrong at Arden Cliffs, but by the time they arrived, the observatory was just a ruin again, quiet and inert. The machine was gone, reduced to twisted metal and dust, indistinguishable from the rest of the debris. Days later, Adam stood once more on his balcony, coffee steaming this time. The sky was still, obedient. The city moved below him, unaware of how close it had come to forgetting itself. He felt lighter, untethered, and strangely at peace. His phone buzzed with a message from Lena. "World's still here. For now." Adam smiled and typed back, "Let's keep it that way." As he set the phone down, a breeze stirred, and for a fleeting instant, he thought he saw a star flicker out of place before snapping back where it belonged. He watched it carefully, heart steady, and when nothing else happened, he turned away, ready to live whatever time remained to him, unlooped, unrecorded, and finally his own. Adam did not sleep that night. Not because of fear, at least not the kind that made his heart race, but because of a quiet, unfamiliar emptiness that refused to settle. The future had always been a pressure before, a vague pull forward he'd never questioned. Now it was gone, and the absence felt louder than any noise. He sat on the edge of his bed as dawn crept in, watching the light spill across the floor, trying to decide whether this calm was peace or simply the eye of something larger. When he finally drifted into a shallow sleep, he dreamed of doors. Endless doors, all slightly open, all leading to moments he could almost remember but never fully enter. Every time he reached for one, it closed gently, without force, without malice. He woke to the sound of his phone vibrating. Lena again. It's starting, the message read. Adam's chest tightened. He typed back immediately. Starting how? Seconds passed. Then, small things. People reporting missing minutes. Nothing catastrophic yet, but it feels familiar. He stood up, suddenly alert. So the loop was gone, but the damage remained, ripples spreading outward. He grabbed his jacket and keys without thinking, moving on instinct older than memory. By the time he reached Lena's temporary lab, a converted warehouse far from the cliffs, the sun was high. Inside, screens glowed with data streams, maps, timestamps highlighted in red. Lena looked up as he entered, relief flashing across her face before being replaced by worry. You feel it too, she said. Adam nodded. Like echoes. She gestured to the screens. Time's smoothing itself out, but it's messy. We pulled a thread out of a tapestry that was already fraying. Is it dangerous? He asked. She hesitated. Not in the same way. There's no central loop anymore. No anchor. But the system we disturbed doesn't like gaps. It's trying to compensate. Adam did not sleep that night. Not because of fear, at least not the kind that made his heart race, but because of a quiet, unfamiliar emptiness that refused to settle. The future had always been a pressure before, a vague pull forward he'd never questioned. Now it was gone, and the absence felt louder than any noise. He sat on the edge of his bed as dawn crept in, watching the light spill across the floor, trying to decide whether this calm was peace or simply the eye of something larger. When he finally drifted into a shallow sleep, he dreamed of doors. Endless doors, all slightly open, all leading to moments he could almost remember but never fully enter. Every time he reached for one, it closed gently, without force, without malice. He woke to the sound of his phone vibrating. Lena again. It's starting, the message read. Adam's chest tightened. He typed back immediately. Starting how? Seconds passed. Then, small things. People reporting missing minutes. Nothing catastrophic yet, but it feels familiar. He stood up, suddenly alert. So the loop was gone, but the damage remained, ripples spreading outward. He grabbed his jacket and keys without thinking, moving on instinct older than memory. By the time he reached Lena's temporary lab, a converted warehouse far from the cliffs, the sun was high. Inside, screens glowed with data streams, maps, timestamps highlighted in red. Lena looked up as he entered, relief flashing across her face before being replaced by worry. You feel it too, she said. Adam nodded. Like echoes. She gestured to the screens. Time's smoothing itself out, but it's messy. We pulled a thread out of a tapestry that was already fraying. Is it dangerous? He asked. She hesitated. Not in the same way. There's no central loop anymore. No anchor. But the system we disturbed doesn't like gaps. It's trying to compensate. Adam walked closer, studying the data. Patterns emerged the longer he looked, subtle, almost elegant. It's not looping, he said slowly. It's redistributing. Lena frowned. Meaning? Meaning the pressure has to go somewhere, he said. If it can't collapse inward, it spreads outward. Across people. Across moments. Her eyes widened. You're saying everyone's becoming a little unstable. Not everyone, Adam corrected. Just the ones who brushed against the loop, who were close enough to be noticed. And how many is that? Adam exhaled. More than we thought. As if on cue, the lights flickered. Not violently, just enough to be noticed. A technician cursed softly across the room. Adam felt a familiar twinge behind his eyes, weaker than before but unmistakable. It's still watching, Lena said quietly. Yes, Adam agreed. But it doesn't know what to focus on anymore. She studied him, something new in her gaze. You do. I think I always did, he said. I just forgot. They worked for hours, tracking anomalies, cross-referencing reports. Adam found that when he focused, really focused, the data seemed to arrange itself more clearly, like static resolving into a picture. He couldn't see the future anymore, but he could feel the present with an intensity that bordered on overwhelming. Late in the evening, a pattern emerged, one location lighting up again and again. Meriton Bay. Lena leaned back in her chair, rubbing her temples. It always comes back here. It's where the wound is deepest, Adam said. Time remembers where it was hurt. She looked at him sharply. You sound like it. He met her gaze steadily. I spent a long time inside its logic. Some of it stuck. Silence stretched between them, heavy but not hostile. Finally, Lena stood. Then we go back. To the cliffs. Adam asked. No, she said. To the town. To the people. Somewhere in Meriton Bay, clocks resynchronized. A child who had been missing for an hour wandered home, confused but unharmed. The woman from the cafe blinked and suddenly remembered finishing her coffee. Adam opened his eyes, breath shaking. Behind him, Lena stared. What did you do? I didn't fix it, he said honestly. I translated. She stepped closer. For how long? Adam looked out at the dark water, stars steady overhead. I don't know, he admitted. But I think this is what comes next. He turned to her, a faint smile on his lips. Not loops. Not erasure. Just time learning to move forward again, with help. And for the first time since the sky had moved, the night felt truly quiet, not empty, not watching, just alive, unfolding one unrepeatable moment at a time.